Here's a Honda Pilot, a 2014 with some tranny fluid that looks a little bit burnt. It's going to look a lot worse than this once I drain it and once you sample it. Look at that. See, it's burnt. Now, trying to do this and be cameraman, I'm going to give it a shot. Here we go. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I've seen worse. It's burnt. We'll put it in a glass jar to sample it. You can't really tell till you put it in a glass jar. Now, you're only going to get about 3-4 quarts out of this. We're going to measure what we're taking out. We'll measure it all out. And then what we'll do is we'll put the brand new Honda fluid in this. The same amount we take out, and we'll run it on the lift. After we run it on the lift, we'll recheck our level, check the condition, and if it's still not clean enough, we'll do this 2 or 3 times until we get the fluid all properly changed out of the transmission. Yeah, there's some metal on that plug. Look at that. Yeah, all that metal. And you want to see how much metal? All right, let's take a paper towel. Look at that. There's all the metal on the magnet. 45,000 miles. You don't think it looks bad, but it is. Look at that plug. All that metal. And you can see what comes out. Still has a pinkish tinge, but it's brownish. And that's time to change it before any damage is done. Okay. We poured all the dirty fluid into our measurement container. I also use this fluid evacuator to measure fluid, as well as pull fluid out where you can't drain it. And it looks like we've pulled out almost 4 quarts. Okay, 3.8 looks like. So we're going to put 3.8 back in it because our level was correct to begin with. If we didn't know that, then we would have to find our level, which I will do when we're totally done. Okay, we're going to sample some transmission fluid. I'm going to try to pour this one-handed while you look and see how dirty this fluid really is. It's a little tricky by myself here. Work like a monkey. All right, here we go. Okay, fluid looks pink, right? Now get a look at the glass. There you go, burnt fluid. 2014 Pilot, 45,000 miles, and we routinely work on this. And this just looked like it was just getting a little pink, a little brownish on the stick. And that's what it looks like right there, burnt fluid. Okay, time to change it. Okay, 2014 Honda Pilot transmission fluid service. I want to show you where the transmission dipstick goes in the front of the case right there. I have it out because we're going to check the level. The fill for it is in the back of the trans down low. I have the plug out. You can see it all the way down the bottom there. Now we're going to use a funnel with a hose. So we can also run a hose with a fluid fill pump assembly, which I have too. But there's enough room for me to get a funnel with a hose on it, which I have right here, and get that down in there, and we're going to put 3.8 quarts in there. Already measured out 3.8 quarts on a container, so I don't pour any more than that in there, and it's going to go in to a funnel with a hose to reach down all the way down the bottom where the fill is. which you can barely see, but it's in there. Follow the funnel all the way down the back of the transmission. This is what you got to do to get the fluid into it. They didn't think about putting a tube or any service on it. And then the dipstick is in the front of the trans, which I have out right now. Okay, we're running this vehicle. We've got 3.8 quarts in it, which we took out. We were running on the lift with the wheel locks on. We're going to run it through the gears for about 5-10 minutes and let all the new fluid circulate with the old one. This is going to help to ensure that all the fluid is evenly circulated. And again, using this, you want to go by the procedures they use for filling, checking, and even the type of fluid that the vehicle calls for is very important. You either want to make sure you're using the OEM fluid or something that meets and exceeds the OEM fluid, like a full synthetic that actually is rated for the spec that the manufacturer gives. In this case, it's Honda DW1 fluid, which I have that, and I have full synthetic, which also complies and exceeds to this also. Either way, keeping the maintenance on this stuff makes them last. Okay, we're back to draining the fluid on this. We had done that before. I can't remember what the spec was on it, but I knew we had it in stock. Alright, let's drain this out again. We've also checked the rear differential fluid, and that's still clean. We did that with the proper fluid they use for that. There's a couple different kinds. Dual pump fluid, and Honda uses another type of fluid too. The name escapes me. We have both in stock because we do a lot of Hondas here. Okay, it's coming out a little cleaner this time. So we're getting some of the new fluid along with some of the old fluid out of it. Alright, I don't want to soak the phone, so I'm going to hold my phone out a little bit. Don't mind the shaky camera work. The camera guy, well, he quit. So we're going to do it all ourselves here. But we're going to get her done. Okay. Well, we don't have any metal on the magnet. That looks good. I cleaned it off before, so no more metal floating around. That's a good thing. I was running this car for about 10 minutes on the lift. So to circulate all the new fluid in with the old fluid. So that looks pretty good. And we'll do this one more time after this to get the fluid spotless. You want to make sure this transmission will last the life of the car and he never has to buy a transmission for it. Honda transmissions have been noted to be pretty weak, although I got to tell you, I don't remember any of my customers burning any of these things up that took care of them. You know, you take care of them, they'll take care of you. Okay, we're ready to put the last batch of transmission fluid into this Honda Pilot. Which again, you got to go slow and easy. It goes in the back of the hole in the back of the trans, down really low. So you got to rig up funnels, adapters, hoses to get it in there, or use a pump with a hose, which I have that too for some where you have to go in through the side of the case. We're going to put 3.8 quarts in it. We're going to let it run. We're going to connect our scan tool. We're going to check the temperature of the transmission, and we're going to make sure our final level is correct on this. We're not going to just rely on the on what the stick says, because the fluid level will change depending on the temperature of the fluid, and pretty drastically. So a lot of new manufacturers have a guide on how high the fluid should be at a given temperature. Now this fluid's cold going into this trans. Trans warm, but the fluid's cold. So that's going to affect it. Alright, and again we're using fluid that is the OEM spec fluid, and I also have the fluid that exceeds it to keep this Pilot lasting long. I've worked on this car since it's brand new for these people, and he has a Camry. It's got 225,000 miles. I think I've posted that picture on the Facebook page. And again, original transmission, always maintained. You take care of them, they'll take care of you. They're working on this Honda Pilot, and we're trying to check the transmission fluid. Now let me get that dipstick down into that hole. This is always fun when they put them all the way down. Okay. Let me get the fan running here too, so you gotta be careful. Don't get the fingers caught in the fan. There it is, that's the dipstick where it's at. All the way down there. You know how many cars come in here and people don't check these things? This is why. This one at least has a dipstick. Many don't. Alright, let's check the condition. We're going to get a white paper towel. We're going to check the condition of this fluid too, in addition to the level. Should be closer to the ad right now. Let's see. Once it warms up, it'll go more. Alright, let me check the low end of the stick. Okay. We are on the ad line, the low level line. That's good. Fluid is nice and pink. That looks good. Oh yeah. Allow it to get warm enough where we can check the level. I'm going to show you one of the other tools we have. This is a fluid evacuator. It's the one I use to pull all different types of fluid out of vehicles where you can't get to the drain or there's no access for it and you want to correct the level. You can do this for draining, servicing, what have you. The one on the right is also a fluid evacuator, but I only use this for filling because you can fill and you can suck out. This one only gets fresh, clean fluid of the type and spec of the car you're working on. And this will hold about 6 quarts. And we leave it, this is made for filling. There's a switch on the side of this for putting it in and pulling it out. And you can correct the level on the transmissions with many of the newer transmissions do not have dipsticks. So again, it takes these special equipment here to service this stuff. Very important. And again, you also have to see what the procedure is for the final check on the fluid. Some want you to do it with the engine off, some want it with the engine on. Most Hondas, after you run it and you get the temperature just right, we'll tell you to turn it off within 60 to 90 seconds, check the level and see where it's at. We'll look at the spec on this just to make sure I'm correct with that. More time with it off. With it running, it was between the lines. With it off, it should be more up to the top. Let's see what we got here. Yep. We're right up to the top with it off. Okay, good. Okay, now that we got this transmission fluid corrected, I'm going to show you the hole. I've got to put the plug back in that hole. Alright, and it's all the way down there, let me tell you. Alright, ooh, that's hot. Been running a while, that's why it's so hot. Yeah, they make these fun to get to, don't they? Okay, well, you're going to see it in real time. Me putting this plug in here. Getting it started is the hardest thing. This is all the way down there around the heater hoses, which are real hot right now. So people don't realize what's involved with doing a full service change. It's not just dropping a few quarts and you're done. You want to do it right. All right, it's tight. All right, you want to get one more look at that plug? That's a little son of a bitch all the way down there. Okay, right in the back of the transmission down low. Okay, you got heater hoses in the way, you got the master cylinder in the way, you got other brackets, the air inlet, back or way out. This is what the engine looks like. And the dipstick is in the front side, and I'm going to show you that once I get my light out. There it is right there. Okay, all the way there. The front part of the trans. That's fun to get to too. Alright, by the time you change this fluid and ran this thing 3 different times, you've ate up about 2.5 hours easy. But it's well worth it because this fella's liable to hold on to this car for another 10 years, maybe another 100,000 miles, and we want the transmission to last. Like I said, this fella has a Camry that I've worked on since day one. We have pictures of that on the Facebook page, and it is mint looking. Other than burning a quart of oil every few months, the car holds up. You take care of the transmission fluids on your cars, folks, and the transmissions will last you. The transmission fluid service on most cars is a tenth of the price the transmission is going to be. Some have serviceable filters, some do not. This one does not. Some you have to pull the pan down to service the filter. There's all different ways they have it. Some have dipsticks, some have fill holes, some have special procedures for checking. Some want you to check them with hot idle, hot off. Again, it's important to look and follow the manufacturer's procedures for checking and servicing it. Thank you for watching, and like and share if you like.